Hello, good evening. It is 10 o'clock. Yes. Hi, Samir. Sue! Lovely surprise. Good to see you. And good to see you, Samir. Okay. So, because my dear friend Sukanya is here, I'm just going to let you know what I've been doing today. As a matter of fact, I just made a note. Today is day 8 of me doing this live every night. I've been doing this now for 8. Today is the 8th day, 10 o'clock every night. I've been reading excerpts from a book that I've been reading. It's called The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. It's the journey beyond yourself. So I've been reading that every day, sharing with whoever comes online, whoever requires to listen to it. People sometimes watch live, people sometimes watch the recording. And in my sharing, there's a lot that on a daily basis I'm experiencing the book, I'm living the book. So it's not just a story, it's actually something to live by, to practice on a daily basis. And so with that, I begin today's chapter, and I found something very interesting. I haven't even finished reading this entire book. I'm reading it, and every day I'm, preparing. After I've read the entire chapter, then I prepare what I'm going to share with all the viewers on live. So for the past 7 days, I've been doing this very. I have no clue why this was happening. Every day, I would say this book has 3 chapters, and we're in 3 parts, and we finished part 1. We're in part 2, and today, for some reason, I normally go through the TOC, the table of contents, when I'm reading a book, or when I buy a book, if it has chapters written. I have just not seen the table. I had not seen the table of contents, hi Jui, up until this morning. I just didn't. This is a book that I just kept reading one page after the other and practicing it, not realizing. For some reason I was under the impression it has 3 parts. Today I opened the table of contents and I realized that it actually has 5 parts. So my apologies if you have been also under the impression that there are only 3 parts to it. But yes, if you've been on this journey with me, if you've been watching it live or the recording later on, you are also realizing that we're going deeper and deeper in this journey. Roshan! Oh my God, look who is online. Are you still there, or have you quietly disappeared? Oh my God. Okay, all right. All the hellos and highs done. I am going to start with chapter 7. Chapter 7 is kind of like I wrote in my Facebook story today. It's a bit in continuation with what we've been reading for the past 3 days. The day before, we read up a little. It was called The Infinite Energy, and we talked a little about how the energy moves in through our chakras. Yesterday was completely on the heart center. It is called the Secrets of the Spiritual Heart. Today it talked about yesterday, about the spiritual heart, how we tend to close it, and that's what causes blocks in it. Today's topic is transcending the tendency to close it. Okay, so in that sense, it is a continuation of what we've been reading. So let's begin with chapter 7 of part 2. This inner force field, chi, shakti, or spirit, it is an underlying energy that flows in particular patterns through your inner being. When looking at these patterns within yourself, as well as in other living species, it is not difficult to see that the most primal energy flow is the survival instinct. Many of us no longer lack food, water, clothing, or shelter, nor do we regularly face life-threatening physical danger. As a result, the protective energies have adapted toward defending the individual defending the individual psychologically rather than physiologically. Okay, so nonetheless, what happens is the same impulses that make a deer run away urge you to run away. Since it's not socially acceptable to run into the woods and hide like a deer, you hide inside. That's how we block. You withdraw, close down, and pull back behind your protective shield. What you're actually doing is closing down your energy centers. If you don't know you have your energy, even if you don't know you have energy centers, you've been closing them since kindergarten. You know exactly how to close your heart and put up a psychological protective shield. You know exactly how to close down the centers to avoid being too receptive and sensitive to the different energies coming in and causing fear. You are pulling a shell around the part of you that is weak, you are protecting your self-concept. Although a situation may present no physical danger, it may cause you to experience disturbance, fear, insecurity, and other emotional problems. So you feel the need to protect yourself. That part of you that gets disturbed is way out of balance. Okay, because we've developed this hypersensitive psyche, we constantly use our energies to close around it and protect ourselves. But this process only hides the problems, it doesn't fix them. You're locking your illness inside yourself and it will only get worse. You will get to a point in your growth where you understand that if you protect yourself, you will never be free. If you close and protect yourself, you're locking the scared, insecure person within your heart. You will never be free that way. Ultimately, if you protect yourself perfectly, you will never grow. And what does he mean? What does the author Michael mean over here by using the word grow? It means just growing in all levels, not just, your physical growth, age-wise, body and stuff, but your mental capacity, your mental growth, your emotional growth, and of course, ultimately, our spiritual growth. So that's what he's talking about, growth over here. If you protect yourself perfectly, you will never grow. All your habits will stay the same. Life becomes stagnant when people protect their stored issues. There are all these rules about things that are not supposed to happen outside because they could cause disturbance inside. Living like this allows for very little spontaneous joy, enthusiasm, and excitement for life. Most people just go from day to day protecting themselves and making sure nothing goes too wrong. At the end of the day, when someone asks, "How was your day?" a normal response is, "Not too bad," or something like, "I'll survive." What are these answers or these type of answers telling you about their view of life? They see life as a threat. A good day means you made it through without getting hurt. The longer you live like this, the more closed you become. Hello, Sudha. Thank you for joining. Because there is no part of you that you're not willing to see, the mind is no longer divided into the conscious and the subconscious. It was very interesting, no? That when you keep working on these parts that are the scared part or the angry part or the detached part or the broken part, whatever, all these emotions and things that are blocked, they all go into the subconscious. There is no part of you that you're not, when there is no part of you that you're not willing to see, the mind is no longer divided into the conscious and the subconscious. Okay? So, I'll read the entire paragraph. I just marked that line. If you really want to grow, you have to do the opposite. Real spiritual growth happens when there is only one of you inside. There's not a part that's scared and another part that's protecting that part that's scared. All parts are unified. Because there is no part of you that you're not willing to see, the mind is no longer divided into the conscious and subconscious. Everything you see inside is just something you see inside. It's not you, it's what you see. There is simply the pure energy pouring inside of you that creates the ripples of thoughts and emotions, and there is the consciousness that's aware of it. There is simply you watching the dance of the psyche. In order to reach this state of awareness, you must let your entire psyche surface. Right now, many fragmented parts of your psyche are held within you. It all has to be equally exposed to your awareness and released. But it will never get exposed if you're closing yourself. After all, the purpose of closing was to make sure that the sensitive parts of your psyche don't get exposed. So you catch on that no matter how much pain the exposure creates. You're willing to pay that price for freedom. So what do we mean by that? So you catch on that no matter how much pain that the exposure creates. That whatever sensitivity is coming up, wherever, even on a day-to-day basis, if we can be really present and catch ourselves wherever we are being sensitive to issues, any kind of sensitivity, anything on a daily basis, if we can actually start practicing with very small things, very simple things that come into our day-to-day lives. What is irritating me? Where am I getting irritated? Or am I getting impatient? That's a sign. Look at that. Something is there. There's some energy that's stuck there or blocked, and it's coming up for your awareness to look at. So we can start that. We don't have to start at thinking that, oh my God, this is like too much of inner work. I don't know what all issues will come up. I don't even know what all is there in my subconscious. It's nothing frightening, really. You can just start with small things. When you are no longer willing to identify with the part of you that is separating itself into a million pieces, you are ready for real growth. Begin by seeing the tendency to protect and defend yourself. There is a very deep innate tendency to close, especially around your soft spots. But eventually you will notice that closing creates tremendous work. Once you close, you have to... So what he means by that closing creates tremendous work is if you don't notice it and if you just keep going on, then it creates tremendous work. Once you close, you have to make sure that you have what you protected doesn't get disturbed. So that also he's talking about a lot of work. अब उसको हम बचा के रखना है, तो then we're constantly on guard, right? So that nothing creates disturbance to that part that we're trying to protect. So that takes so much of energy, so much of effort, trying to control things inside, outside, trying to avoid things, trying to get away from things, trying to further suppress it. How much of effort is that? There's so much of work to constantly be alert rather than being aware and catch it right there and check what that is and let it go. So that's what he talks about today. The alternative is to become conscious enough to simply watch the part of your being that is constantly trying to protect itself. You can then give yourself the ultimate gift by deciding not to do that anymore. You start by watching stuff every day. How often do you find yourself trying to protect and defend that weak part of you? There's someone or something trying to disturb you every other day. Okay? The reward for not protecting, you are free to walk through this world without a problem on your mind. You are just having fun experiencing whatever happens next. You no longer have to listen to things like, your mind saying, how can you do that? What will people think? What will they say? Oh God, I wish I hadn't said that. Or you just go about doing your business and put your whole being into whatever is happening. If you start letting go. Spiritual growth is about the point at which you start to feel your energy change. For instance, I like this example. Somebody says something and you start to feel the energy get a little strange inside. You will actually start to feel a tightness. That is your cue that it's time to grow. it's not time to defend yourself, because you don't want the part of you that you would be defending. If you don't want it, let it go. You will eventually get conscious enough so that the minute you see the energy start getting strange, you stop. You stop getting involved in the energy. That's what he means. You stop, as in you stop getting involved in the energy. If it normally causes you to start talking, you stop talking. You just stop mid-sentence, because you know where it will go if you continue. The moment you see the energy getting imbalanced inside, the moment you see the heart starting to tense and get defensive, you just stop. What exactly does it mean to stop? It's called letting go. When you let go, you are falling behind the energy that is trying to pull you into it. Your energies inside have power. They are very strong and they draw your awareness into them. If a hammer falls on your toe, all your awareness will focus there. If there's a sudden loud sound, again, all of your awareness will focus there. Consciousness has the tendency to focus on disturbance, and disturbed energies inside are no exception. These disturbed energies will draw your consciousness to them. You really do have the ability to disengage and fall back behind them. I'll explain in a bit what he means by fall back behind them. I have a really lovely analogy. Let me just read one more paragraph. When the energies inside start to move, you do not have to go there. For instance, when your thoughts start, you do not have to go with them. Let's say you're outside taking a walk and a car drives by. Your thoughts say, boy, I wish I had that car. You could just keep on walking, but instead you start getting upset. You want a car like that, but your salary isn't high enough. So you begin thinking about how you can get a raise or a different job, so on and so forth. So if you aren't centered, your consciousness is just following whatever catches its attention. There are people like that. They don't hold jobs very well, and relationships don't tend to work out for them. They're just all over the place. Their energy is very, very scattered. You have the ability to not go with any of these thoughts. Just sit in the seat of consciousness. When you see your heart start getting anxious, you're obviously aware of this experience. But who is aware? The consciousness, the indwelling being, the soul, the self. It is the seer, the one who sees. Every time you feel any change in the energy flow, relax. Don't fight it. Don't try to change it. Don't judge it. Oh, I can't believe I'm still feeling this. I promised myself I wouldn't think about that anymore. Don't do that. You'll just end up going with the guilt thoughts. Let them all go. But, he adds over here, it's not just about letting go of thoughts and emotions. It's actually about letting go of the pull the energy itself has on your consciousness. Okay? If you use your inner willpower to not go with it, remain seated within, and remain seated within. Now here I recollected, and this is what I often do. When I feel myself getting drawn into something, I quickly just, take a pause like he says, just stop there even if it's mid-sentence. Take a deep breath, close my eyes. If I'm in a conversation with somebody, I can't do that. But if I'm by myself and I'm getting, caught up in my thoughts and emotions, I'll just close my eyes and take a deep breath. Just do that right now. And if you can just watch your breath, follow your breath, that will help you come back into your centered space or into your seat of consciousness. So you can do that. Okay? So that helps a lot. The self is watching the inside energies change in accordance to both inside and outside forces. Now I love this part that he's talked about, because he's going to take us through an experience in slow motion. Let's take a slow motion look at what happens if you go with these energies. Hello, Radhika, Trachna. First, you start to have a thought or feeling. This feeling could be as subtle as your energy flow starting to tighten and become defensive. or it could be something much stronger. If these energies capture your consciousness and all the power of awareness gets focused on them, this power, which power? The power of consciousness feeds them. Consciousness is a tremendously powerful force. So when you concentrate on these thoughts and emotions, they are becoming charged with the energy and power. This is why thoughts and emotions get stronger the more attention you give them. Let's say you feel a little jealousy or a little fear. If you focus on it, it grows in importance and demands more of your attention. Then, because your attention feeds it, it becomes infused with even more energy and draws more attention. And that's how the cycle just keeps going. Eventually, what started as a passing thought or emotion can become the center of your entire life. If you don't let go, it can get completely out of control, right? So that's when he says that step back. Now, this is where I got reminded of a very lovely thing that I do while driving. Most of us drive, or we've driven before and things like that. And sometimes when we're driving and suddenly a car just is trying to overtake. So we're driving and this car is trying to overtake. Now, in that precise moment, I have a choice to speed up and not let this let's not go guy or woman, this car overtake me. So then, this car is trying to overtake. So that car will also speed up and I'm speeding up. So I'm caught now. I'm caught in that race, in that thing. Or the other choice I have is just take my foot off the accelerator. That's it. And it'll just slow down my car a little bit and this car will just pass by. And that's exactly, if we can keep this analogy in mind when there are certain thoughts and emotions that are coming in that may cause disturbance. Okay, it's up to you. This thought comes in and you're like, boom, okay, I'm going to go with this. And then you're speeding and we're going together, and then it just goes wherever and you're gone. Your consciousness, your awareness is gone with that thought. Or you just slow down, step back and let that thought or the emotion pass by, and you watch it. So you're still there, you're aware of what that emotion is, what that thought is, but at least you're not getting drawn with it. So this analogy, if we can keep in mind, and that's what he says, it just takes a moment of conscious effort to decide that you're not going there. It's simply a matter of taking the risk that you are better off letting go than going with the energy. Again, it's just better off to let that car pass rather than fighting and racing with it. So you decide to use life to free yourself, for the freedom of your soul. Only you can take that inner freedom away from yourself, or only you can give it to yourself. Nobody else can. It doesn't matter what others do unless you decide that it matters to you. So no matter how much people may tell you, or you may go for therapeutic work or things like that, but unless you are ready inside to let it go, then nothing outside is actually going to help you. It may help momentarily, briefly, but if you're going to again go back and start that getting caught with those emotions and not able to let go, then it doesn't. So that's what he talked about in a couple of chapters back, that unless you begin to realize what the voice of this mind is doing, what this inner chatter is doing, and you realize that you would like to set yourself free from it. It's very different from quietening it. It doesn't quiet down. But you can free yourself by not getting attached and going ahead with these thoughts and emotions. So that's what he talks about, freeing yourself. Only you can take inner freedom away from yourself, or you can give it to yourself. Nobody else can. It doesn't matter what others do unless you decide that it matters to you. Instead of getting into being bothered, you get into being free. It's this inner voice, the mind talk, is very melodramatic, he says. Just decide that no matter what the mind says, you aren't getting involved. You don't fight that mind. In fact, you don't even try to change it. You just make a game out of relaxing in the face of its melodrama. The root is where the consciousness is aware of the pull of these energies. So nip it at the bud. And we're coming towards the end of the chapter, so stay with me, people. You will see that the energy does have the power to draw you in. Even once you decide you're not going to let this happen, it still has a tremendous power over you. It happens at work and it happens at home. It happens with your children and with your husband or wife. It happens with everything and everybody all the time. Your opportunities to grow are endless. It's always there in front of you. Just commit to not letting the energy draw you in. When you feel the pull, like somebody pulling you on your heart, you just let it go. You fall behind, like moving the foot off the accelerator. You simply relax and release, and no matter how many times you're pulled, that's how many times you relax and release. The tendency to get drawn in is constant. The willingness to let go and fall behind has to be constant. Your center of consciousness is always stronger than the energy that is pulling onto it. You just have to be willing to exercise your will. But it's not a fight or a struggle. It's not that you're trying to stop the energies from coming up inside. There is nothing wrong with feeling the energies of fear, jealousy, or attraction. It's not your fault that such energies exist. This is very important, please listen. All the attractions, repulsions, thoughts and feelings don't make any difference. They don't make you pure or impure. Okay? They don't make you pure or impure. They are not you. You are the one who's watching. And that one is pure consciousness. Don't think you'd be free if you just didn't have these kinds of feelings. It's not true. If you can be free even though you're having these kind of feelings, then you're really free. Because there will always be something. If you can learn to remain centered with the smaller things, you will see that you can also remain centered with bigger things. The types of events that would have destroyed you in the past can come and go, leaving you perfectly centered and peaceful. And trust me, I have been doing this kind of practice as much as I can, whenever I can, over the years. And just today, when I was sitting in my meditation and introspecting, and I realized that I am currently going through a situation, and I realized that I am not getting affected the way I used to. And this is a situation that keeps coming in my life. It's been coming and going off and on over the years. But it's just not affecting me the way it used to affect me earlier. Earlier it was major panic. Then it came down to worry. Then it came down to, then it was stressed. I was extremely stressed with it. Then there was a shift of going into complete silence about it. And now it's like, okay. So here it's come again. So let's see what can be done. It's just that. It's not affecting it. Those kind of things are not coming up. Those kind of emotions are not coming up. Worry, concern, panic. Wow, it's such a relief not to have all of that going round and round in me. And because I worked on certain areas that were triggering these kind of thoughts and emotions of worry and panic and stuff, in a lot of other places and situations, I don't seem to be getting worried and panicky now. So you see, it's not just related to one event. It's these kind of thoughts and emotions. It's not like I don't get worrisome thoughts or I don't feel panicky. They do come up. So it's not like, I'm all saintly now and nothing worries me or I don't get panicky. Of course I do. But I watch it quickly. I still go into that, but I quickly come out because I realize I put my foot off the accelerator saying, I'm not going there. I'm going to watch and see what can be done to change that. So Ultimately, even if terrible things happen, you should be able to live without emotional scars and impressions. That's what it is. It's enough. Enough of more and more samskaras being created, right? No matter what events take place in life, it is always better to let go rather than to close. You will then be free to explore the nature and source of your true being, pure consciousness. And exactly half an hour, that comes to the end of chapter 7. It also comes to the end of part 2, and we will be beginning part 3 tomorrow. The topic is freeing yourself. So again, in continuation to what we were talking about today, freeing yourself. Part 3 is all about freeing yourself. Chapter 8 is let go now or fall. So I hope that is brought up more curiosity or interest for you to join me tomorrow. If you've missed the live today, the recording will be there on my profile. All the days, all the 8 recordings will be there. Perhaps you would like to go through them. They're maximum of about half an hour, but it's a beautiful journey. So yeah, join me tomorrow, 10 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Take care of yourself. Love you all. Good night.